So we talked about the amount that we have to give to a guy who comes knocking at your door, right? Versus people, that come from your neighborhood that ask for money. So now we're going to talk about the order in which I have to give tzedakah, because there are different orders in priority to who we have to give tzedakah. So if there are a lot of aniyim and a lot of people, unfortunately, that need, who comes first? How do I prioritize that? So there are three principles in setting a priority for giving tzedakah, and it's the same principle that we learn in the mitzvot halva'ah in Siman He over there in Halachot Yud Aleph and Yud Gimel. And the three principles are hinted in the pasuk in Dvarim Tet Vav pasuk Zayin. It says, Ki hiye becha evyon me'achad achecha be'achad she'arecha be'artzecha asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach lo te'ametz et levavcha ve'lo tikpotz et yadecha mi'achicha evyon. Principle number one, evyon. It has to be evyon. So whoever is more poor, you give him first, or you give him more. Okay, because he's in the greatest need. Therefore, if a person needs, we have two people. One needs food, and one needs clothing. Well, we give the money to the one who needs food first. Right? Everything in life has priorities, and that's something to remember. Even if you go hiking, right? There's the 3, 3, and 3, right? You need to worry about shelter for hypothermia. You need to worry about water, because 3 hours you're going to die from hypothermia. Fire, right? And guess what? If you don't have air, you die. And then food. Food is the least. You can live 3 weeks without food. You can live 3 days without water. I mean, you're not going to make it if you don't have fire. Everything in life has priorities. Here also, we have to learn how to prioritize. So, the second principle, me'echad achecha. In other words, whoever is considered to be more of your brother, you have to give it to him. Now, not for brothers I'm talking about, you Ashkenazi, you Sephardi, so it depends who I am, I give you for. That's racism. However, if you have children that are older, right, that are already on their own, let's say, or you have parents that you have to help, who's closer to you? Children is closer to you, or your parents are closer to you? From your parents, right? You are 100% of your parents, half and half. Your child is only 50% of you, right? 1 second. So therefore, you have to give your parents before you give your older children. Banim kodmim la'achim. Children will come more than your brothers. Achim kodmim ledudim. Brothers before uncles. Uncles before cousins. And so on and so forth. So you have to see who is closer to you in terms of blood relations and so on. If there's nobody, so we have to go to the third principle, right? Baruch Hashem, everybody in your family is healthy and so on and so forth. So therefore that doesn't apply. All the other things do not apply. Ethnicity, community, those things don't apply. That's practicing pure racism. So the last principle is be'echad she'arecha. Be'echad she'arecha, to come to teach us, aniyeh ircha kodmim le'aniyeh ir acheret. The poor people in your community, in your city, in your community, come before the poor people of a different city. You have to help them first. When there is a conflict between the two concepts, let's say, for example, let's say your brother needs food, but your father needs clothing, right? So the first principle overrides the second principle. You always go by food, regardless of who it is. So even if you have your uncle or your cousin, argument's sake, that needs food and your father needs clothing, you help your cousin first. The person who needs food comes first. If a person doesn't have food, you can have all the clothes. You can have a fur coat, but if you're hungry, you're hungry. So, then we have between the second and the third, right? as we said further in Hey Yud Gimel, and so on and so forth. Another halacha we learn from this pasuk, שעניי Eretz Yisrael קודמים לעניי חוץ לארץ. The people of Eretz Yisrael come before the poor people of outside of Eretz Yisrael, because it says, בארצך אשר השם אלוקיך נתן לך, and that's in Shulchan Aruch Resh Nun Aleph, halacha Gimel. Okay? We need to add more that also a good friend is considered to be a relative that you need to give him a head. It's not Heisevayet. And also what people say is, for example, a kirva ra'ayonit, an ideal closeness is also considered to be kirva. Therefore, if a person wants to give money to a yeshiva, because a lot of the yeshiva bachurim while they're learning, they are considered to be poor, it's appropriate to give to the yeshiva, or it's not appropriate, it's acceptable to give to a yeshiva who fits more your needs or your mindset to yeshivot who are very far away from your mindset. Okay? Do I agree with that? No, not necessarily. In other words, if let's say, for example, I don't know, let's say I'm a YU guy, right? And comes to me a guy from Satmar. He needs money for his yeshiva. Why should I give to YU first? They need it also. YU has the grants from the government and so on and so forth. They have the 612 club, whatever. All these things that they have. They get money from government. Why should I give them? Let me give somebody else. Somebody who really needs that. However, if you want to call it kirva, give it kirva. I don't really like this halacha, by the way. I mean that concept. Because ideal, I think it's wrong. Because we allow ideals to divide us. I can tell you this. I'm not a Satmar. Okay? Would I mind if Satmar will come to my neighborhood and open yeshivas there, and they come with the Pias and the Streimels and the whole thing and the buses? No, I'll be very happy if they will. What do I care? I mean, the Jews. The more the Jews, the merrier. That's fine, as long as they don't tell me which sidewalk to walk and which part of the bus to sit. I don't have to take the bus, I'll take my car. If you know what I'm saying. Ideally, but for me, so therefore, if I could help this, it doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever. However, it is very important to note that there are situations in which the halacha is quite clear about who should give it, then you cannot move from it. For example, if your brother and your cousin need tzedakah, and both of them in identical financial situation, of course you have to give money to your brother first. And this is also when your brother needs a little bit of help and your cousin is about to starve, right? You don't go to your brother first, you give it to your cousin first, as we said previously. However, when your cousin needs help more than the brother, but the difference is not that great, okay? For that, the halacha seems to be very clear. I'm sorry, it's not so clear, and therefore you have to do what is so-called the best of your judgment. Whatever you have to use your judgment, who you feel you should give first. So even though there is in that term there's quite halacha, but you have to use your judgment and the better judgment to be able to allocate your money better. And it's very, you have to understand, it's very difficult to determine all the time who needs money more, because the needs of the people and the way they view their situation is quite different. For example, a person, there are those Baruch Hashem people. They don't have a lot, and you look at them and say, "Oh, you give out. How do they live like this?" And they seem to be okay with it. And there's a person that is like, so that's his perception. You gotta use your better judgment of how to really deal with situation like this and allocate it. However, Are there charlatans that'll take advantage? Of course they are, but that's why we have to have the better judgment. And if you really don't know how to go about it, and it's quite of a dilemma. And I'm not talking to you about a guy who comes knocking at your door and say, okay, let me do She'elat Rav about, let me call my rabbi if I should give you or should not give you. We're talking about, let's say, for example, somebody wants, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 from you. And somebody else wants $2,000 for $1,000 for you, whatever it is. So you don't know who to give first. You're in dilemma. You can make up your mind. You're not quite sure. You don't know, and so on and so forth. So you pick up the phone and you ask the rabbi. You ask him a question. Okay, but it's not across the board that everybody needs to do so. Let's say, for example, let's say somebody had a store, and the store, I don't know, burnt or whatever, earthquake, and the store went down. Now he comes to the community. He says, "Community, please, I lost my business. And I want you, please, to give you guys going to help me open the store. Should we help him? What do you think, Rebs? Should we help a guy like this? Help. Well, what do you think? Anybody doesn't think we should help him? I'll tell you, wait 1 second. Let's say, for example, the guy has 2 houses. Let's say he has a house that he lives in here, and he has a house that he lives in Florida. Darling, sell your house in Florida. Well, I'm not going to make as much money as I could have. Well, it's not my problem. Sell your house in Florida. Pay for your business, because that money that the community gives should go to other people. I can help people who are in need. If the person has money, he let him use first his money. We're talking about a person that doesn't have. Okay, that's something else. So you need to use it. If you don't know what to do, you pick up the phone and you call a rabbi. You call an expert rabbi who is quite good in this judgment and is quite well versed in the halacha, and you ask him the question, and he'll help you out. However, that's something you need to do. So there's a priority. There's a priority to that as well. Be'ezrat Hashem, next time we're going to talk, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're actually going to talk about giving tzedakah to Yeshiva, and we'll see what are the obligations to give, which Yeshiva, how to give, and so on and so forth. You might be quite surprised. Until then, stay warm, clear your snow, don't overwork yourself, and have a great day.